T-minus 30 seconds and counting.
You know, this used to be a hell of a good country. I can't understand what's going on with it.
Chaos.
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 T-minus 15.
Oh, they're not scared of you. They're scared of what you represent.
10, 9, ignition sequence start.
What you represent to them is freedom.
We have ignition. All engines are running. We have liftoff. We have liftoff.
Welcome to Chaos Radio number 146. I am Joshua Samuel. It looks like I'm flying solo today. I'm supposed to have Rick Rose here in the studio with me. Hopefully he's doing good. He's still recovering from a heart attack not too long ago. And Mel is he's on vacation. He'll be back next week. Welcome to the program. It's going to be an abbreviated program because I'm not feeling so great myself. Couple notes here for you. Rudy Davis is going to be on the show on Thursday evening on the Heisenberg Report, and he is an expert on the birth certificate issue and the eligibility for Barack Obama to be president of the United States. And we are going to delve into that, take a deep look at that. So make sure you tune in for the Heisenberg Report on Thursday night with special guest Rudy Davis. Also, if you have not yet, please go to LoneStarTeaParty.us and sign, if you're here locally, and sign up for the Ted Cruz Army. You can do it right there. Scroll down a little bit on the right side of the homepage. You'll see a link to sign up for the Ted Cruz Army. And what this is anytime we need a group of folks to show up at an event. Like not too long ago, there was a bunch of leftists that showed up at the Ted Cruz office, and we needed a bunch of people from our side to show up, and so that's what the Ted Cruz Army is all about. So if you have not signed up yet, of course we never share your information with anybody else. It's just for the sole singular purpose of helping Ted Cruz and the Tea Party cause. LoneStarTeaParty.us, you can sign up right there. Unfortunately, I was not able to make it out to the event last night at Libyan War for Truth. Go to LibyanWarForTruth.com. The event was with Dr. Jerome Corsi and the Moriartys, and hopefully we're going to be having some video that we can post up to the website so you'll be able to see the event. Unfortunately, I took ill yesterday evening and was not able to go. I did, however, yesterday afternoon I was at the taping of the Glenn Beck program and got to give a shout out to WBTM. Got to ask a question about Article the Second to guest host David Barton and his panel. So that's going to be airing this Friday. So if you subscribe to Glenn Beck or if you have the it's not DirecTV, it's I think Dish. He's on Dish Network. So make sure you tune in for the Friday show of the Glenn Beck program. You get to see me, yours truly, Joshua Samuel Finkenbinder, right there on the Glenn Beck program. We're going to get to the topics fast today. All the important stuff to get you updated on what you need to know. Of course, what we'll start with. You know what I really want to start with? I came across this information early this morning, and really took me back. I keep my nose in the news, and so it's surprising whenever I get shocked by information. But here you go: 43% of all food stamps go to illegal immigrants. 43% of all food stamps. Any wonder why food stamps has doubled in the past several years? The number of recipients coming from other countries just to get on the food stamp program. Less than 2% of illegal immigrants are picking produce, right? I mean, that's a rhetoric that we hear. Americans don't want to do these jobs. Who's going to be out in the fields, working the fields, picking the produce? And what we find is it's Americans doing it. 2% of illegal immigrants are picking produce out in the fields. So bust that myth right there. 41%, however, are on welfare. 41% of all illegal immigrants in the United States of America, and many of their family members back in their country of origin, are on welfare here in the United States of America. Guys, it's wrong. And I'll remind you that we are subsidizing criminal invaders, illegal immigrants, undocumented workers, or whatever you want to call them, to the tune of $50 billion every year. That's after they pay taxes because of the benefits that they receive. It's no wonder 41% are on welfare. So 50, and they're killing 25 Americans every day. How come that's not being reported on mainstream news, on Fox News Network? No, we're WBTM. We become the media. We're really the only one out there bringing you that information. 25 it should be the front page of every newspaper in America until this problem gets solved. That 25 Americans are killed every day. I mean, for how long did we have to hear about how many soldiers were killed over in Iraq every day? And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. The left has their agenda. That's why they did that, no doubt about it. But how come the mainstream media and the left is so silent on this reality that 25 Americans are killed by illegal immigrants every single day here in America? Excuse me. And if that wasn't bad enough, because, right, we have to have immigration reform for the children. Mm-hmm. How about 8 American children either sodomized, raped, or molested in the United States by illegal immigrants every single day? That's shocking to me. That's shocking that we can have 8 American children sodomized, raped, or molested every single day in America, and it goes virtually unreported. And we have people like Marco Rubio, John McCain, Lindsey Graham out there saying, we need to pass immigration reform, or it's called amnesty is really what it is. Let me finish going down the list here. 66% of all California births are illegal, being paid for. Not only are they illegal, but they're being paid for by the taxpayer. Again, 2/3 of all children born in the state of California are illegal, are born to illegal aliens. And 60% of all HUD properties in the United States are occupied by illegal immigrants. Of course, HUD is the government subsidized housing where we pay for poor people's house. The taxpayer does. 60%, again, it's shocking to me, 60% of all HUD properties in the United States are occupied by illegal immigrants, criminal invaders, undocumented workers, or whatever you want to call them. More than half of all gang members are illegal. You want to solve the gang problem here in America? Solve the illegal immigration problem here in America. And not by providing amnesty, but you solve the problem by enforcing the laws that are already on our books. I'll remind our listening audience. And if you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, please go to WBTM.tv. Put it in your web browser right now. We do a live stream. We post our videos up there, WBTM.tv. And please go to Facebook and like WBTM.tv on Facebook. It's a great way to let your friends and family know about WBTM. Our numbers just keep rising and rising as more and more people find out about us because we're the alternative media network. That's why we chose WBTM, is we become the media. Half of all gang members in America are illegal, and if you want to stop the violence, the gang activity, then let's solve this immigration problem. Again, not by passing amnesty laws, but by enforcing the laws that are already on our books. And what I was going to remind our viewing and listening audience of is that the very definition of a Republican form of government, its primary reason for being formed is to protect the citizenry from outside forces. So maybe that's the reason why the establishment tries to convince us, and the mainstream media tries to convince us, that we are a democracy and not a republic. But we need to remind ourselves exactly what is the difference. So, well, that's one of the hallmark differences right there. That a republic, the reason they are established, the reason that they are in government, that form of government is formed, is to protect first and foremost, to protect the citizens. It's from outside forces, and obviously, whenever you have a criminal invasion from another country or countries, you're not going to be doing a very good job of protecting your own citizens. 25 Americans dead, 8 American children sodomized, raped, or molested every single day. But who's the big benefactor? Who benefits from this criminal invasion? Oh, yeah, big business here in America to the tune of $2.36 trillion a year. $2.36 trillion a year is what big business, these businesses that hire criminal invaders, illegal immigrants, undocumented workers, or whatever you want to call them, are racking in $2.36 trillion every year here in the United States of America. Maybe that's why Marco Rubio, Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, John McCain, and the establishment Republican Party, along with the Democrats, are so zeroed in on finding a solution to illegal immigration to solve those problems. No, I don't think so. But they conveniently forget about Benghazi, about Libya. Have we heard anything about Syria and the U.S. losing our leadership position in the world? No, we haven't heard anything about that because, wait, that was a bipartisan effort. Oh, imagine. Or one of the number of scandals that's been going on under this administration. That's why we say here in WBTM, what you are experiencing from day to day in your lifetime is a bipartisan war against the American people. Republicans and Democrats coming together against the American people, and it's shocking. We see this with Obamacare. Here the Republicans have the opportunity to defund Obamacare, to get it out of our midst once and for all, and they willfully choose to go against the American people and not defund Obamacare. What you see with the Republican Party is artificial opposition to the agenda of Barack Obama and the Democrat Party. And the opposite can be said, too, about the Democrat Party towards the Republican Party. It's artificial opposition. They have the same agenda, no matter who's president, regardless of who controls Congress. The progressive big government agenda keeps marching forward and forward and forward. We talked about it last Thursday. Ronald Reagan, one of his campaign promises was that he was going to end the federal government takeover of education. Well, that never happened. And yet you have George W. Bush doing No Child Left Behind, which is an extension of the government takeover of education. So that's one example. I mean, there are many. America has been lied to, and I think that more and more people are starting to wake up to that fact. That Barack Hussein Obama, President of the United States, remember there was a famous president, Richard M. Nixon. America, your president is not a crook. Because we found out that he was a crook, right? What happened to him? He got impeached. He was going to get thrown out of office, but he resigned beforehand. Why isn't the same thing happening to this president? How come there's not any pressure from this? You remember back with Richard Milhouse Nixon, it was pressure from his own party. It was pressure from the Republican Party to oust him as president, and that's the reason that he was had to leave the office. The Republican Party nor the Democrat Party seem so keen in this situation whenever this president has not only lied to us about Obamacare, he has lied to us virtually about everything, also about Benghazi. He's lying to us about immigration reform, that this is a good thing for America, that this is good for our economy and good for our citizenry, to use his words. I'm sorry, Mr. President, even if we are the only ones here in the Tea Party and at WBTM shedding light on the truth, we are going to do it because what you're doing is you're lying to the American people. Immigration reform is not good for the citizenry of American people. If it's for the children, as John Boehner likes to tell us, then what about the 8 American children every single day that are sodomized, raped, or molested by the policies of this administration and this Congress? Not only are they being sodomized, raped, or molested, but America's children are also being saddled with this ungodly amount of debt that this administration and Congress are putting on their shoulders. Whenever we talk about the taxpayers paying for welfare or for this program or that program, what we really should be saying is that it's America's children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren that are getting enslaved by this debt. We're out of money. We already spent all our money. We're racking up the credit card bill now, and to the tune of $1 trillion a year. Folks, it's not sustainable. And what does this president care? I mean, this guy is responsible for spending more money than any person in the entire history of the world. And yet the Republicans capitulate in raising the debt ceiling, and Mitch McConnell's out there saying he's going to fight against the Tea Party and against the ultra-conservative faction of the Republican Party. He's going to fight against them, but he will not fight against Barack Hussein Obama or any one point on his Barack Obama's agenda. I ask you, what has Mitch McConnell, John McCain, John Cornyn, who, by the way, I was talking to some friends last night, and they said it's being in the rumor mill that Louis Gohmert might be throwing his hat in for Texas senator. Well, I would be happy about that. But what opposition have they really offered? None. They feigned opposition. They appeared to offer opposition with Obamacare. And then whenever they had the opportunity to defund Obamacare, we saw what the true colors were. But Mitch McConnell has said he is going to fight against the Tea Party and the conservatives within the Republican Party. And that's a promise that he made to his over the weekend to the donors to his campaign anyway. So, excuse me, folks. I haven't been feeling too great here of late, so bear with me. A couple things you need to know about Obamacare. Latest, we said America was lied to because it turns out that Barack Obama, this administration, and how many in the mainstream media, we're not sure. How many in the Republican Party, we're not sure, knew this information. But it was written into the regulations of Obamacare that, excuse me, I had an orange earlier. They knew that over half of Americans, in fact, 2/3 of Americans, were going to lose their health insurance if they bought individual health insurance. They knew it was written into the regulations of Obamacare that they knew that their health insurance was going to be covered. I mean, it kind of just, you were lied to because Barack Obama said, if you like your insurance, you'll be able to keep your insurance. When Jay Carney was asked about this, he said, oh, well, they can keep their insurance if their insurance meets the strict standards set by the Affordable Care Act, a.k.a. Obamacare. But if it doesn't meet that strict standard, well, they really don't need that insurance anyway. Oh, well, that's nice because Barack Obama said, no. If you like your insurance, then you'll be able to keep your insurance. Period. That's the way it is. Well, yep. And yet what we find out is that they knew beforehand that it's up to 2 million Americans to date that have either lost their insurance or have received notices that they're going to be losing their health insurance. And what we find out, and this is from those who are involved with Obamacare, that they know now that up to 80% of Americans will lose their health insurance coverage. And there's no alternative. Even whenever these folks are losing their health insurance, whenever they go to the Affordable Care Act exchange, good luck signing up on the website with that. Barack Obama said, well, if it's not working on the website, well, send me an email, and we'll get it done that way. Oh, well, thank you, Mr. President. 3 years, $500 billion for one website, and you can't get it up and running. Imagine that. I wonder if it was something done in the private sector. If a private sector business had spent $500 billion and given a timeline of 3 years to a contractor to build them one website, whether that contractor could have got that job done or not. I bet you they would have. No excuses. We're seeing 80% are losing their coverage. Whenever they go to the Obamacare exchange to try to get a new policy from the Obamacare exchange, they're finding that to get a similar coverage package to what they just lost is going to be 4 times as much. I thought this was a good deal for America. Not such a good deal for America. And so now millions of Americans are out there without health insurance coverage. And how many of these people, they rely on their health insurance to pay for their medication, the different procedures that they need? I mean, I guess Obamacare just doesn't care about the American people, whether they, the sick ones anyway. If you're sick here in America and you're depending on your health insurance coverage to cover some of that cost, well, you're screwed, Jack. Thank you, Mr. President. Oh, but wait a second. I thought the Democrats were the party of the poor, of the elderly, and of the sick. Well, you know what? They're the ones getting screwed the worst by this because it's the rich people, right? 80% are going to be losing their... So there's 20% that's not going to be losing it. Well, who are those 20 people? 20%. Well, those are the really rich ones who are not going to be losing it. Their health insurance coverage. And we also learned from Jay Carney that for those who are unable to pay the difference between what they were paying for health insurance and then it got canceled, so they don't have that health insurance. And now you go to the Obamacare and the Obamacare exchange. So if there's a difference in price, if it's going to cost you more, then for some of those people, we're going to offer tax credits to offset the difference in the premium. So this goes back to what we covered over the past several weeks. That the reason why we even have Obamacare, besides the socialist implications and the takeover of health care by the federal government, the entity that receives the most benefit from this, besides the government, is going to be the Federal Reserve. Because if the government's going to pick up the premiums with tax credits, where's that money going to come from? Well, we're already borrowing $1 trillion a year with mortgage-backed securities. And now we're going to be spending even more money to pick up premiums with tax credits for health insurance. Where's that money going to come from? That's right, we're going to be borrowing it from the Federal Reserve. So, Federal Reserve is a bank that the federal government borrows money from. And so, the federal government, in other words, you and me, not Barack Obama, he's going to be out of office soon enough. He's not stuck with this. It's not his debt, it's our debt. We're going to have to pay back the Federal Reserve for every tax credit that they front the money for with interest. We're already in debt, $17 trillion. The experts are saying by 2014, wait a second, this is 2013, 2014, that's next year, we'll be in debt by $22 trillion by the end of 2014. Oh, okay. No big deal. Go back to sleep. Don't like us on Facebook, and don't let your friends and family know about what's going on in America. Go ahead and let them keep tuning into CNN and Fox News. They're not going to get this information anywhere else, guys. WBTM, we become the media because the media here in America sucks. Even with NSA, is our media really doing an adequate job covering the NSA, CIA, spying on American citizens, literally listening and recording every single one of our phone calls, every single phone call recorded by the NSA, CIA, FBI, and now we find out Health and Human Services is going to be spying on Americans too. Yeah. They're going to be looking in on our social networking, Facebook, Twitter, to find out how we feel about healthcare. What are the trends in healthcare? What's going on? Well, if you're looking at my Facebook account, you're going to find out, I think you're a bunch of jackasses, and I don't want universal healthcare, and I don't want a single-payer system. I want the free market to work. Well, if they're going to be coming after people like they're doing right now with the Secret Service, going and arresting returning veterans, from Iraq and Afghanistan, hauling them off to insane asylums, keeping them there for days and weeks on end, visiting my friends and associates like Rudy Davis, who we're going to be having on Thursday. And maybe he'll go into the full details about that on Thursday's show. But we have people in our movement, friends of mine, personal people I know. I've got my own stories I could tell, but other people are involved, so I don't want to disclose that information. But we have the Secret Service and Department of Homeland Security, CIA, FBI, the whole alphabet. So now we find out Health and Human Services is going to be targeting Americans, monitoring all of our Facebook and Twitter posts, as well as other websites and God knows what else. And they say the reason here is so that they can gather information on healthcare behavior. Excuse me, I'm not very comfortable with the federal government monitoring Americans' behavior, even if it is healthcare behavior. Where are we at here? All right. Welfare in 11 states. There are now more in 11 states here in the greatest nation in the world. 11 states have more people on welfare than they have people working in those states. And there's good reason. Because those people on welfare make more money than the people who actually have a job. So if you're looking for a new career, go into business gaming the system, signing up for all sorts of welfare benefits, and you'll actually have a larger income than most Americans do. $168 for people who fall beneath the poverty line is the average daily income. $168 versus $137, which is the average daily income for people who have a job here in America. So the government is actually paying people not to work. How long do you think that's going to work out? How long until the domino effects, and it's not 11 states, but it's 15 states and 20 states, and then we go bankrupt. Trying to think of her name, Prime Minister. Let me look it up here. She has a great quote. The problem with socialism is that eventually you run out of other people's money. Margaret Thatcher. Doesn't even have to look it up. Former Prime Minister of Great Britain. That's right. And how long until that happens here in the United States of America? How long until we run out of other people's money? In Oregon, they passed a law that they're going to put a black box on everybody's car and monitor how many miles that car goes, and then they're going to charge 1.5 cents per mile. A tax. Right now it's voluntary. How long until it's not voluntary? If you're not involved yet in a libertarian or Tea Party movement group, constitutional group, there's several names out there for different groups. And we need group, don't we? I mean, seeing what's happening to our country, yeah. A nice going to group makes me feel good. If you haven't yet, please join. Please join a Tea Party. Just show up. You know how easy it is to join a Tea Party? Just show up. Yeah, that's it. You just show up. You let your voice be heard. You get involved. You get informed. That's what happens at these tea parties. You get informed what's going on in your local community, in your city, and how you can take action, how you can inform your neighbors. It's an epicenter for information. And one of the things we did in my city is back in 2008 is we got our state representative, me and one other person, literally got our state representative kicked out of office because of our efforts. And that was a great thing. We got a better candidate in there. And I think we're going to have to do the same thing again this year. But you can make a difference. You can make a difference. In fact, of course, it's an American ideal that only the individual can ever make a difference. And that individual is you. So what else to get to here today? Welfare, 11 states, we talked about that. Immigration, of course, we talked about that, what, 41% is it? 43% of all food stamps, or 43% of all illegal immigrants receive food stamps or welfare from the United States government. No wonder the welfare recipients have doubled. There's 50 million Americans now receiving food stamps here in the United States of America. It's unbelievable. 50 million. And there's such an opportunity. I mean, in many ways, we still have a free market. Maybe not as free as it used to, God knows. But in many ways, we still have a free market. And if we could teach these principles and ideals, there is a fortune for the individuals to make. Anyway, I want to play this by Marco Rubio. This is on LoneStarTeaParty.us. And he's falling into line with the Barack Obama agenda. Right, we haven't heard from Marco for a while, but as soon as Barack Obama takes to the air and says, you know what, next thing we need to do is pass immigration reform, there's no reason not to do it. My little buddy Marco Rubio is going to help me with that, and John McCain, good friend of mine, and John Cornyn, and Lindsey Graham, and oh, wait a second. Those are Republicans. No, I'm only supposed to be talking about my Democrat friends. But it's a bipartisan effort, isn't it? Immigration reform, amnesty's a bipartisan effort. Well, here's Marco Rubio talking about the need for immigration.
That's not realistic. Well, I also don't think it's realistic to believe that the House is just going to take up and pass whatever the Democrats in the Senate are demanding. And so I think that there are many things on immigration that we can agree on, and I think we should move on those and make progress.
Oh, wait a second. He thinks it's unrealistic that the Republicans in the House are not going to go along with whatever the Democrats in the Senate are demanding. Well, wait a second, Marco. It's not what the Democrats in the Senate are demanding. It's what you are demanding. You're part of the Gang of Eight. It's your agenda. So what you're really saying is that the Tea Party faction in the House of Representatives is not going to go along with your agenda. Let's hear some more.
On those issues. And there are a handful that we have no consensus on in this country yet. And those issues may have to be, delayed at some point until we can reach a consensus on how to approach them. But my point, I still want to solve immigration. I think it's an important issue for the country to deal with. Yeah. But I don't think that we should not do anything because we can't do everything. And I hope...
Don't not do anything. We have to do something. We have to pass law. What does Congress do? They do one thing, right? They pass laws. That's it. Well, Congressman, you've already passed laws. Well, not you personally, but previous Congresses have already passed laws against illegal immigration into this country. How about, instead of finding new laws to pass, how about we just enforce the laws that we already passed? Instead of offering amnesty. What a disappointment Marco Rubio is. And what a contrast that this Hispanic senator is to another Hispanic senator, Ted Cruz, sharp contrast. And the great thing about Ted Cruz so far is that he is the person that he said he was as a candidate. He went to Washington. He didn't get involved in the good old boy system. And he is offering real opposition to the agenda of Barack Obama. Imagine that, a Republican offering real opposition to the other party's agenda. Boy, that would be refreshing, wouldn't it? You know that libertarians make up 13% of this country. Another 15% of this country are consider themselves libertarian leaning. I'm probably one of those guys. Although at times I've called myself a constitutional libertarian. So I don't know. I'm in there somewhere. But think about that. That's 30% about of our country that is libertarian. And then another large swath is Tea Party. They're two separate things. They kind of overlap a little bit, but two separate things. And yet the Republican Party refuses to offer opposition. Look, guys, let me just speak to the Republicans for a second. You have over half of the country against Obamacare. You have over half of the country against amnesty. And yet you offer no opposition. You mock and ridicule and make fun. This is the reason why either the Republican Party is going to be purged of politicians like Mitch McConnell and John McCain, who John McCain said recently that he is frustrated and depressed with the Tea Party. Well, imagine how we feel about you, sir. We thought in 2008 that you were a real opposition candidate to Barack Hussein Obama. Honest to God, we didn't have a choice in that election. And Mitt Romney? Oh, come on. Is that the best the Republican Party can do? Go out and find the one guy who's going to divide the Republican Party. Anyway, what this is going to do, what we are seeing and witnessing within our own generation, it's an amazing thing. I'm proud to be a part of it. It's the freedom movement, and I've compared it to the Pilgrims whenever they left England. Remember, you have the Puritans and the Separatists. Mm-hmm. Now, the Puritans wanted to purify the Church of England, and they were convinced they could do it, even though after generations it was still pretty corrupt. The Separatists, they used to be Puritans, except they had made the decision, you know what, the Church of England's gone too far, and it cannot be purified, and so we are going to separate ourselves from the Church of England. Right, two different groups, Separatists and Puritans, but they had the same fundamental ideology, beliefs, doctrines, etc. But one group believed that the Republican Party could be purified. Another group believed that the Republican Party needed to be separated from. Of course, both of them came here. Oh, wait a second. It was the Church of England. But yet what we're seeing is the same thing here with the Republican Party. That's probably going to be a two-pronged attack here. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. What I can say is that if the Republican Party continues to march along to the agenda of Barack Obama and the Democrat Party, and there's no difference between the two, then the days of the Republican Party are over. Have you ever heard of the Whig Party? Yeah, a bunch of old guys from a long time ago, right? Right. It's the same thing that's going to be true about the Republican Party. Generations from now, if the Republican Party continues marching along in goose step with Barack Obama and the agenda of the Democrat Party, and we can't tell the difference, then generations from now they're going to be saying, hey, remember the Republican Party? A bunch of old guys, remember? Well, nobody remembers them anymore. Well, that's what we're doing here at the Tea Party. You know, really, the Tea Party offers the only real opposition to Barack Obama and the Democrat agenda. And more and more of our friends and our family are awakening to the reality that the Republican Party, they really don't offer any opposition. They've been bought off by corporate America. And I would guess, I don't know because we've never audited the Federal Reserve, I would guess that they've been bought off by the stockholders of the Federal Reserve. But we don't know who those people are because we haven't audited the Federal Reserve. Of course, the answer for that problem is not just an audit, but it's ending the Federal Reserve because one is unconstitutional. And the other reason, it's bad, it's immoral, it's wrong. Anyway, terrorist attacks reach record numbers in 2012 after reaching record numbers in 2011. Now, remember how concerned we all were back in 2008 about Barack Hussein Obama getting elected, and was this going to invite a terrorist attack on the same size of of 9/11? Well, no, we haven't seen a terrorist attack that's been that large or demonstrative. However, we have seen a dramatic increase in the number of terrorist attacks. Let me get these numbers here for you. Un momento, por favor. Hang on. I got them here, I promise. Oh, here they are. 8,500 terrorist attacks in 2012. We don't have the numbers in yet for 2013. That's a 70% increase over 2011. And in 2011, those were the record number of terrorist attacks around the world, with 5,000. And guess who these terrorist attacks are being carried out by? Our friends and our allies, Al-Qaeda. Oh, isn't that nice? Yes, the same Al-Qaeda that Barack Obama and John McCain are funding, giving assistance, aid, and training to. That Al-Qaeda. And what do they do in repaying? What's their show expression of gratitude? Oh, we're going to strap bombs on our children, have them go into marketplaces, and blow themselves up along with a bunch of other people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it might be a good idea if we quit arming and funding Al-Qaeda and the Muslim Brotherhood. If we quit taking folks with ties to Al-Qaeda and the Muslim Brotherhood and promoting them in the Department of, hang on, of Homeland Security. Somebody's at the door. Hang tight. I'll be right back. Well, have a seat. Jump in. You can go around that way. We've got a co-host. I hope Rick's okay. I don't know. We got Leland joining us. You can sit over here, Leland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Headphones.
All right.
You can turn the computer on if you want.
Okay. Yeah,
And
you see these
What's that?
So I was a DJ in college.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Well, welcome. We're live right now.
Okay.
So, and we got camera on us.
All right.
So, we're just talking about Al Qaeda and this government funding Al Qaeda, and Al Qaeda is responsible for us reaching a record number of terrorist attacks here in 2012. 8,500 terrorist attacks around the world, up from last year's record of 5,000 terrorist attacks. So I guess with Barack Obama, we haven't had a 9/11 event, but what we have had are record numbers of terrorist attacks, and we are fitting the bill for it, paying for these guys. Hello? It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Iran is 2 weeks away from a nuclear bomb. This is according to the former IAEA guy from the United Nations. This is the nuke organization. They go and monitor all the country's nuclear weaponry. And he says 2 weeks away, and Iran can have a nuclear bomb. Now, that's interesting, because the United States and Israel are kind of in a rift right now, right? Have you heard about this, Leland?
Yeah.
Yeah. With a microphone, headphones,
Yeah.
you're good to go.
Yeah, I'll get set up here.
All right. This is why we call it chaos radio, because you never know what's going to happen. It's chaos, folks. 2 weeks away. And do you think that Israel's going to let Iran possess a nuclear weapon whenever Iran has continually, over and over and over, repeatedly called for the annihilation and destruction of the nation of Israel? Here they have about 15 million people in Israel, and over 1 billion, surrounded by over 300 million Arabs. And beyond that, over 1 billion Muslims. And they've called for the annihilation and destruction of Israel. What do you think Israel's going to do? Well, I don't think they're going to let them keep and possess nuclear weaponry. And I think Israel's being set up here.
Well, I do too.
Yeah.
Big time.
Go ahead and pull that mic close to you.
Okay. Been a while since I've been on the air.
Yeah. Since college, and you got gray hair now, so
Yeah.
go figure.
Back in the 60s.
I think that Israel's being set up here.
Well, I do too, big time. Even though I know that they won't be able to do it. No way, no how they destroyed Israel. They're protected by the powers to be.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with you. And, Israel's no slouch. When you talk about the 1967 war, it was miraculous, really.
Yeah. 7 days.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
6 days, wasn't it? The six-day war?
6 days. The 7th day
They
went
rested. Yeah. I've never thought about that before. On the 7th day, they rested. How about that? Anyway.
Yeah, I think that they'll move in on Iraq. Well, they've already told the U.S. But we will set the day and the time, and that we will move in, and they won't know that we're there until we're gone.
Mm-hmm.
They'll use, I do believe they'll use the bomb buster that we have that'll penetrate. I think it's down, 35 feet now? And if they got anything underground, it will shake it pretty good. Then I've read where Canada has been digging into their computer program and throwing blocks into it here, there, and yonder, which has slowed them down a tremendous lot.
What's that about Canada?
Canada has used their computer system and has thrown viruses and that into Iran's computer system for their atomic weapon, and they have slowed their progress considerably. I've read that probably 8 months ago.
Well, let's hope so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No kidding.
No kidding. That's one thing that's set them back quite a while, is the fact that the Canadians have helped us with that situation. Even though, I don't know if you read here recently where Saudi Arabia has turned on us now. The read that just the
I
last
have
couple
heard
of
that.
days.
I have read that. By the way, Saudi Arabia, who passed Sharia law, and it's legal for grown men to marry 9 and 10-year-old girls and take them as a wife, because that's what the Prophet Muhammad did, after all.
That's right. As far as I'm concerned, what I've read about him, he was a pedophile.
Yeah, you're marrying a 9-year-old.
And Muhammad had a 12-year-old. And that's, in my book, that's pedophile territory.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where he got all this. I haven't dug into it, I guess, here lately, but why would he have to either it's my way or the highway, or we eliminate you? Did Muhammad in his Quran actually say that? Now, I've read the Quran, and there is a passage in it that says, and I think they skip over this part. It's called "The Eagles Will Destroy You," and I'm not sure who the Eagles are yet. I don't know if it's Israel or if it's U.S. or who. That's a big question mark.
Mm-hmm. Even with the new quarterback, they're not having a good season. The Eagles are not having a good season this year.
Oh, yeah.
So,
You're right about that.
I don't know. I don't know how many people they're going to destroy. But I see you got some notes, Leland. Anything you want to cover with us today? I mean, we've gone through the gambit already.
I see.
So,
Well, I've just wondered how many knows who the 10-mile square called D.C. belongs to.
tell me.
It belongs to the Crown of England. That was settled way back in like 1851 when they burned the White House, and I believe it was Dottie Madison who saved George Washington's picture at that time.
So, you're saying that Washington, D.C. is the property of England.
It's property of England. If you think I'm wrong, check it out. Google it.
Well, do you have any evidence? Do you have anything for us? Tease us here.
Well, right now, off the top of my head, I can remember my professor, who was named Titus W. Beasley.
He sounds like a smart guy.
Back in, I took courses under him in 1959, 60, 60, and 61. At that time, he was rated number 1 in American history, and Who's in American history, and number 2 in Who's in the world. So when he said it, I pretty well believed it.
Yeah.
And he taught us a lot of things that about, well, to give you an example, my grandmother, when my grandfather passed away back in 66, the Social Security system said that she wasn't entitled to any compensation because my grandfather had his own business. Well, from the day one, he had paid into this Social Security. Well, Mr. Beasley, I went to him to find out what we could do.
Mm-hmm.
And sat down. He told me how to write a letter to the President of the U.S., which happened to reach the Vice President. And 2 weeks later, her Social Security started. He said that at that time, that nobody knew the complete law or rules of the Social Security Department. Of course, it hadn't been there except maybe 20 years when it started back with Roosevelt. And this was in 1962.
Now, something interesting about Social Security, whenever it first started, the ratio of people paying in to the people receiving it was 15 to 1.
Right.
The ratio now is less than 3 to 1.
That's correct. Yep. There's another very interesting deal that I've delved into. I'm learning more about it. Does anybody know who the straw man is? Straw man was set up by the government under Roosevelt, and to be a real person, after you were born, they were give you 15 days to tell the government that you were an individual. If you didn't, you become a straw man, and then the banks could take X amount of dollars out because you were an individual, and they could add that to their bank account. And in doing so, if they would really follow the rules, that was your deposit that you were to use. So if you bought a home or a car or something, you could withdraw it from your account.
Mm-hmm.
And the government has turned it around where it's theirs, not yours.
Oh, imagine.
So someday, we hope that we can get it turned around to where if you go to buy a house, you can take it from your straw man account and pay for it without. Then that only leaves you to do one thing with your home, and that's to pay your taxes. And the way a lot of people are going, the government right now is stealing from you every day. No question about it. And they want to steal more. They want to come in and take your bank account. They want to take your 401k. They want to hit your savings.
Well, they're doing it right now with our mortgages.
Oh yes.
$1 trillion a year. We covered this a little bit early on the show. $1 trillion a year is is a deficit that the federal government, and much of that's being borrowed from the Federal Reserve. And how are they borrowing that? Right, whenever you go to the bank, what do you have to do? They say, well, you seem like a nice guy, but how much income do you have? And what can you put down as collateral? Well, what does our federal government put down for collateral to the Federal Reserve that they borrow money from? It's our mortgage-backed securities. It's our mortgages that they're putting up for collateral to the Federal Reserve so that they can borrow $1 trillion a year, so that 43% of illegal immigrants, criminal invaders, undocumented workers, or whatever you want to call them, are going to be are provided with food stamps.
And eventually, food stamp program is going to diminish, and that's going to leave a lot of kids nationwide hungry again. And if you want to find the bulk of them that are going hungry today, you follow the Appalachian Trail on the East Coast. There is a program in Oklahoma that's helping with that. It's called Feed the Kids.
Is that a government-funded
program? No, that's a private.
Oh, okay.
And they go in and they make a contract on excess food that would, well, to put an example, in Idaho, there's thousands and thousands of pounds of potatoes that will go to waste. So this gentleman named Larry in Oklahoma with his trucks makes a contract on it, purchase it, then they load the trucks and they head to the Appalachian Way in Kentucky and Tennessee and on both north and south. And they feed the people that live in that area. They can't find jobs. And if it wasn't for that, we'd be losing a lot of kids and children that live in that particular area of Tennessee and Kentucky.
Yeah.
So it's a real program, and if you happen to have a little extra, if you could donate to them, they'd appreciate it.
And what's the name of that program so people can donate to it?
It's called Feed the Children.
Feed the Children.
That's out of Oklahoma City.
Okay. Well, again, it comes down to the American people and charities, and not the government, to take care of our own citizens.
Right.
But apparently, with 43% of illegal immigrants receiving food stamps from the federal government, it's up to the federal government to provide for other countries' families. Well, funny how that works. Anything else you want to cover today?
Well, there is another one. What kind of burns me is, why does the government get exempt from the Obamacare and we're not? And I've talked to one of our senators here in the state of Texas just last week. I think it was last Thursday. And of course he was out of town, so I left him a message. I said, aren't you big enough man in Texas or in the government to have Texas exempt from the from the taxes and Obamacare, like Harry Reid did in Nevada, and what's his name did in Nebraska. Also, what happened to Pelosi? Why didn't she have California on that list? Of course, I've never gotten an answer back from him yet, and I don't expect one.
Mm-hmm.
But I did hit Ted Cruz's campaign and give them some suggestions to use, and I hope they do.
What did you suggest?
Well, I suggested that they take and, number one, educate the people on 1851, 1873. And in 1873, I imagine there's a very minimum number of people who know, unless they've studied their history, that that's when our government was turned from a government to a corporation. They changed the wording on the Constitution from of to for the United States, and they used the large letters instead of the small letters. Well, in English, you'll find that the large letter means stronger words than if you use the smaller letters. So if you look at your Constitution, when it reads across, it says United States for, Constitution for the United States of America. That's not the original wording. The wording should be Constitution of the United States of America. And therefore, when they did that, they changed it to a corporation, and now, if you know how corporations work, they can get away with a lot more, and we don't mean anything to them.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have to take and straighten that out. Another thing that I really notice, if you listen to these guys going, these newscasters, they don't know the difference between a democracy and a republic. We are not a democracy. We are a republic,
Mm-hmm.
a constitutional republic. And I think we ought to go back, repeal the 17th Amendment, and make the communities select the senator that we send up there instead of electing him.
Mm-hmm.
Because originally it was set up that everybody in town where the senator came from, if they didn't like what he was doing, they could run over and knock on his door and say, hey, let's change this, or this is not good for the country. Now you have to call him on the phone. If you're lucky, you may get an answer. Lucky. Otherwise, you leave him a recording, and you probably never hear from him again.
Mm-hmm.
That's, in my book, is just a no-go. They have to listen to the public because we are the third jurisdiction. They work for us. We don't work for them.
That's right. It's our government. It's not theirs.
We're the government.
That's not the corporation's government.
That's correct.
It's our government.
That's right.
And it's whenever we get involved, we get educated. And that's a tough thing to do, right? You got the mother and the father both working. You got the kids at school all day. You got Sunday night football, Monday night football. When's there time to get involved in government? When's there time to get involved with the Tea Party or a libertarian or constitutional group? Well, we better make time.
Yep.
We better make time once a month to show up here at the Arlington Tea Party. Once a month is all it takes, and you're able to get involved. Because and reading the Constitution, I mean, it's so important. When you print it out, it's a 4-page document. Obamacare's 2,500 pages plus. 4-page document, and we need to know what the 17th Amendment is, right?
Right.
We need to know whenever we use phrases like Article the Second. We need to know what that is, and that it's simple stuff. You just got to stick your nose into it a little bit and get educated, because the answers to the challenges that we face in our country, they're not complicated. They're simple answers. They take courage. They take all of us coming together and demanding redress of our government, because they've gotten out of control. They've gotten in bed with the corporations, as Leland pointed out. And what it is that they are our government has become a representative form of government, but not for the people, for the corporations, and specifically for the stockholders, whoever they are, of the Federal Reserve System, which is a banking cartel. And I don't use the word cartel as a pejorative. I use it in its literal sense. It's a group monopoly over the printing and issuance of the currency here in the United States of America. And something I found, and I'll bring the documentation for this on Friday's show. But something I found recently, Leland, was that the Democrats love to put it forward that Thomas Jefferson was the founder of the Democrat Party. However, he wasn't.
That's correct.
He was the founder of the Republican Party. That was the name of the party that he founded, was the Republican Party.
Right.
And I'll bring the documentation for that on Friday. But it just goes, again, to show how we've been misled with the facts on so many fronts, so many issues, that is what you said earlier. We're not a democracy. What we are is a republic. And by definition, a republic, and we covered this earlier on the show, too. I wish you would have caught the first part of the show because it was really good. The very definition of a Republican form of government is that different groups of people, right, different states or different nations, they come together to form a republic, a single form of government, for the primary purpose of protecting the citizens from outside invasion, which is exactly what we find here whenever you trace the history of the United States of America. And our republic is that you had different nations, right? You had the nation of Georgia, the nation of Massachusetts. Later on, you had the nation of Texas. And we came together to form a republic to protect ourselves from an invasion from England or France or from whoever. And so that's why we formed the Constitution of the United States, to limit the federal government and constraining them to the primary purpose of a Republican form of government, which is to protect itself. We see the transition from a Republican form of government to something totally different. The same way that we've seen witnessed within the past 10 years, no less, of the philosophy of police departments here in the United States of America, from protecting and serving the people to becoming law enforcement. It's been the same transition of our form of government, because a Republican form of government is to protect and serve the people. What we have today is law enforcement. And we need to get back, we need to revitalize, first of all, our thinking and our understanding. Then we need to let other people know the education process. And with the technology we have today, man, it can happen lickety-split. And we're going to get there. Because, folks, America's best days are in our future. We've got tough times ahead of us, no doubt. But on the other side of those difficult times, we are going to witness within our lifetime, within this generation, the best days of America. And one thing I'm so encouraged about and excited about, Leland, is that it's in the undercurrent right now, but we are starting to see more and more a resurgence of patriotism, of love for country. And it's not just with military or military families or people who are involved in the Tea Party movement, but it's going across the entire landscape of America. And really, for that matter, the entire landscape of the world. You have Tea Party movements over in Australia and Europe, all over the world. I mean, we're seeing down in Brazil, revolution, a freedom revolution, right? They have a communist president, and they're having a revolution against the policies of communism down in Brazil, which is the largest nation and economy and populace down in South America.
That's correct.
And so this is really what we're witnessing in our lifetime. It's incredible. Is the battle between light and darkness, good and evil, within our lifetime, and it's coming to a head, it seems to me. And there's some concerning things, no doubt about it. But the people of America, listen, you have 30% of Americans who are either call themselves libertarians or libertarian-leaning. Another huge swath of America identify with the Tea Party. 40% of Americans call themselves conservatives. So the vast majority of America, only 20% of Americans call themselves liberals. Nobody agrees with the agenda of Barack Hussein Obama or of the Democrat Party, except establishment Republicans. But the people of America, we are together against the policies of Barack Hussein Obama, against the Democrat Party, and against the establishment Republicans. And we're doing it. We're doing it right now. We're coming together. We're demanding redress of our government, of our politicians. And folks, remember, 5 years ago, there wasn't a Tea Party. And now we've got Senator Ted Cruz. And if you haven't yet, I encourage you, please go to LoneStarTeaParty.us and join the Ted Cruz Army. And there's talks about Louis Gohmert running for Senate from here in Texas. If not Louis Gohmert, we have Dwayne Stovall. We've got some good options to get John Cornyn out of office. And they're not Marco Rubio-style options. They're Ted Cruz-style options. Right. And we're going to continue to see not the taking back of America, but the taking forward of America. It's the Democrats, it's the ideas of Democrats, progressives, and liberals in our society that want to take us back. Their ideas are old and worn out, and they have never worked. And yet, freedom always works. It always works. And we're standing up, we're demanding it, we're going to have it, because it's not just a slogan for us. We will live free, or you'll have to kill us. What's that?
I said one of the two.
That's right. And whenever we have that kind of conviction, then we win. That's it. More and more people get drawn to our side. And by the way, and Leland, I'm sure that you know this, the reason, and historically here in the United States of America, the reason why we've been able to stand with conviction on the principle of I will live free or die is because we're not afraid of dying. America was founded first with the Puritans and separatists, and later on throughout the generations. It was a religious revolution before it was a political revolution.
That's correct.
And whenever people are not afraid of dying because of their religion, then you're going to see change in the society and in the community at large. Hopefully it's not going to be a Sharia law type revolution, because that would be a bad thing. What we need is a freedom revolution, where we have true free markets, right?
That's correct.
We have true free religion. You don't have the government coming in and saying, unless you comply with the dictates and mandates of the federal government, then you're going to lose your 501c3 status. And you have these cowering pastors submitting to that. Remember, the 1776 revolution was led by the ministers here in America.
That's correct.
And that's what we need today. So get in there, pressure your minister, or find a minister that is involved. They're out there, and there's going to be more of them, or perhaps yet even become a minister yourself and get involved. So, I think that's going to about wrap the show up for us today. Any last?
I've got a couple of challenges I'd like to throw out.
All right.
Number one is, I'll challenge any high school or any college professor that teaches history to explain the original 13th Amendment to their students and make them see how quick we could clear out the House and the Senate. The other one is, you got the 13th Amendment, and then the next one is to really find out what is the status of a lawyer in the U.S. and the police, who are just the contractors for the state, who they can arrest and who they can't, and who they can support and who they can't. That's the challenge, and the next time we'll explain it to you in detail.
Are you going to be with us on Friday?
I hope so.
All right. You're welcome. You're always welcome here. So, folks, thanks for joining us. Again, please go to Facebook and like us at WBTM.tv. And have a great rest of your day.